here are your hosts of Financially Tuned, Mark Fricks and Tony Shore.
Welcome to another show of Financially Tuned with me, Mark Fricks from MasterPlan Retirement Consultants, and our host today, Tony Shore. We are excited to have you join us today because in this show, we're going to be discussing probably the most important topic you can discuss when it comes to retirement, and that is Social Security.
Well, yeah, Mark, I'm really excited about the show today. It's great to be here with you again. How are you doing today?
I am terrific, Tony. We're battening down the hatches here in the South, ready for our annual snowstorm. So we're excited yet humbled.
Yeah, it's not a good thing when it happens that far south, is it?
Yeah, we're not quite prepared for it, so it becomes a little bit more of an event. But it gives everybody a snow day, so that's exciting for the kids.
You gotta love snow days. Loved them as a kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I think this is going to be a great conversation to have today, Mark. I myself, as a future retiree, it's approaching faster than I'd like. I'm interested in making sure that I have a sound understanding of Social Security and how I can maximize its benefits. And I'm sure our listeners are as well. I think for a lot of folks out there, retirement brings some anxiety. Can having a stronger understanding of Social Security and its benefits actually help calm anxiety, Mark?
Well, yeah, from our experience, it does. And the reason is, Tony, is that, Social Security is really the foundation for most people's retirement. And so knowing what that foundation is and understanding how it works and when to take it certainly does take a lot of the anxiety out of the process of retirement. And especially when you think about this, when you think about the fact that, let's say you know how much you need coming in retirement, and then you know how much your Social Security is. Well, in most cases, there's a gap. And that gap, is important to understand how to fill it. But the smaller we can make that gap, and how do we do that? Well, we do that by doing a good job with the Social Security, then the less anxiety I think that we will experience. So, yeah, we do have a lot of folks that come here to see us at MasterPlan Retirement Consultants that are approaching retirement, but that's our specialty. And so the anxiety is normal, but it can be reduced.
Well, that's good news that the anxiety can be reduced and that Social Security can be understood and maximized with the help of a professional like yourself. Now, Mark, I think that most everyone has a common goal, no matter what their financial circumstances are, and that's to have a successful retirement, to make sure that their income lasts as long as they do, right?
Well, Tony, when you think about it, what is kind of the last big goal that most people have? And that is retirement. That's the third stage of life is kind of what I consider that. And it's kind of the one we've, I don't know, we've been looking forward to it since we were 21, but certainly during our working years when we have to get up early in the morning and drive that commute and fight the traffic. And we just sit there and dream, I think, sometimes as we're sitting at the traffic light of what retirement would be like. So as we kind of head toward that goal, it's important to understand what retirement's about, and we understand that. And what it is, it's knowing your income and what your income's going to be, because you've been receiving a paycheck for however many years, 30, 40, 45 years, and now what's going to replace the paycheck? So understanding Social Security and how the benefit works is really a huge help.
Well, yeah, I believe that that's got to be a huge, huge help to people. And why is it important, though, for our listeners to plan for Social Security?
Well, as we mentioned in the opening, Social Security is the foundation for most folks' retirement. So if you don't plan the foundation, then I think the entire retirement can be, kind of crumbling down, so to speak, a firm foundation, so to speak. So when you think about the fact that Social Security is the largest part of our retirement, it is the part of retirement pretty much everyone has qualified for, either themselves or through a spouse. And when you think about it, every dollar that you increase your Social Security income means that much less that you have to take out of your own assets. And that just gives, I think, a piece, moving forward in retirement as well. So when you think about it, if we could make sure that we increase someone's Social Security, Tony, let's take just an average figure of $500 a month. Now, someone might say, well, $500 a month is not huge. Well, think about that. $500 a month is $60,000 a year. And if you have an average retirement of, say, 20 years, that's $120,000. That's real money in my neighborhood.
Yeah, definitely. That is real money. Now, can you give us maybe a brief history on the history of Social Security and why it was started?
Yeah, we'll briefly talk about that. It's not the most exciting part, but it can be kind of interesting because a lot of folks don't know where it came from.
Well, you don't have to go in. You don't have to dig in too deep there, Mark.
No, we're not going to get into a history lesson. So, please, everybody stay tuned. But really, primarily to start, the Social Security Administration actually had a precursor that arrived before the Civil War. Right after the Civil War, and it was known as a Civil War Pension Program, and that was passed in 1862. And basically, it was intended to benefit military veterans with disabilities that were returning from the war. And then in 1906, the guidelines changed so that old age was made a sufficient qualification for benefits. So in other words, they decided that old age was a disability. I find that somewhat interesting. But
Sure.
And then, of course, by 1910, the Civil War veterans and their survivors enjoyed a program of disability, survivors, and old age benefits, kind of like the one we have today. And so that's kind of where the precursor to Social Security was.
Well, that's an interesting start to have. And now we know that's not exactly how Social Security works today. Maybe you could explain how it formed or has changed since then.
Yes, today's model of Social Security actually was passed in 1935, and the primary purpose was to kind of serve as a safety net for all workers, just making sure that they were not forced to live below the poverty line when they retired. But then over the years, it was adapted to provide benefits to the spouse, to children of the workers, and survivors of the worker. Actually, the first Federal Insurance Contributions Act, which if you've never heard that, you've probably heard the acronym, which is FICA. Those taxes were collected beginning in January of 1937. So if you kind of wonder what FICA is, well, that's the tax that goes into your Social Security. And then finally, future financial instability of Social Security was actually first recognized in the 1970s. In other words, that's when we first started seeing some cracks in the foundation of Social Security, and that's kind of what we see today. We are seeing some of those cracks widen, and I guess the only thing I'll add to that is since 1935, they've actually modified Social Security more than 100 times in Congress.
Oh, my goodness. That is amazing, and that's good, though. They keep shoring it up and making sure it's going to last. You know what? Our time is actually almost up for this portion of the show. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with us before we take a quick commercial break, Mark?
Well, just as folks are listening, just keep in mind that one of the avenues that we work in and that we are experts in is Social Security planning and Social Security maximization. And we are just finding that more and more folks are looking for this kind of help. So if this is something that you'd be interested in knowing more about, first of all, visit the website. We're found at MasterPlanYourRetirement.com, or give us a call at 770-980-9262. We do have a new page we've added to the website, and it's upcoming events. And the reason that's important is that we are actually teaching some Social Security classes around the Atlanta area this year. We'll be teaching, we average about one a month, and it's probably going to be one in your area. So if that's of interest, visit the page of upcoming events on the website. And again, that's MasterPlanYourRetirement.com. And finally, if you just want to chat with us, phone number 770-980-9262.
All right. Well, thanks again, Mark. Stay tuned to learn more about ways to prepare for retirement by having a stronger understanding of Social Security and your benefits right here with Mark Fricks. We're going to be right back on Financially Tuned after this.
To hear the rest of the show or for more information, go to MasterPlanYourRetirement.com or call Mark at 770-980-9262 to schedule an appointment.